Hey guys, welcome to Jerry's Live. As always, I'm your host, Amy Gardner-Dean, and we are coming to you with JL107. The topic is Acrylic Gouache demo. We're going to be featuring Turner Acryl Gouache's Smart Set of 12, which is this really cool set of gouache. 12 tubes don't sound like that much, but it's got this really handy-dandy little kind of coupon cardy almost thing that's a spiral. It's okay, we're just going to show it because Katie's laid it out. I've already ruined your 120 colors is what you can get out of the 12 colors. So it's a great way to try gouache without really making an investment in it. The set is $24.99 on sale. So it's a great way to see if you like it, see if it works well for you. Great way to learn how to mix colors. With these little things on the back, it's got kind of the potion for each color, if you will. So we're going to be working with that today. So if you're playing along at home and you want to know more about this set, want to be able to click on the items, you'll type JL107 in the search box on jerrysartorama.com. That will pull up that set, pull up the few things that we've got that we're going to be using today, so you can see a little bit more information about it. So a reminder right now, I'm going to remind people at the end too, in case we miss some people. Next week for JL108, we're going to be filming the Art Vacation and Retreats live from Pocosin Art School of Fine Craft in Columbia, North Carolina. That is going to be from a workshop that I'm teaching down there, but we're going to talk maybe a little bit about the workshop that we're doing, but how do you go about organizing an art vacation for yourself, an art retreat, a workshop trip? It's a way to take a vacation, but also learn something and have some fun. Maybe meet other like-minded artists. If you don't have artists in your area to befriend, and with the modern invention of the internet now, you can actually keep in contact and support each other and all that, kind of like people do through our Jerry's Live Facebook group. So that next week is going to be filmed live on location at Pocosin in Columbia, North Carolina, but I know we've got the most awesome audience on YouTube. We can only stream it from Facebook for this one coming up. We are not real sure kind of what the coverage is going to be down there as far as Wi-Fi, if we're going to be walking around town so you can see it. There's a beautiful waterfront. I really want to show the waterfront because it's gorgeous. So, and their facilities that they've got there. So we've got to do that potentially through cellular. So, which means we're going to be filming kind of down and dirty with an iPhone. And so we can't broadcast to those two platforms simultaneously. So what we'll be doing is next week we'll be live on Facebook, and then the team here back at the office the next day will try to upload that from Facebook. Now, we've been able to do that so many times with no problem. This last time a couple weeks ago when I was out with a dental emergency, they could not get something to load for some reason. Facebook was, I think they were having a bunch of upload issues and also doing some kind of changeover of software. So there's not a guarantee that that'll be on YouTube that next day. However, they're going to try. The team will try to get that to you. So
we'll do our best.
The way to know for sure whether that's going to be, be able to happen or not is I'll post in the Jerry's Live Facebook group. If that's not, Katie, can you let me know, and then I'll just post in the group if you guys can't get it on YouTube. But otherwise, if they check around midday, by 5 p.m. the next day, if they can get it up.
Within 24 hours,
Okay.
It'll be up. Just because sometimes it takes a while to download.
Yes, because if it's a larger file. So by our regular show time the next day on Wednesday, if they've been able to successfully get it up, it will be on our YouTube channel. So it just won't be live, but obviously you'll be able to see the episode that way. If you're hardcore and want to do that, you don't have to have a Facebook account to watch us on Facebook. So if you sign up for the alerts, well, I guess you have to have it for the alerts though, don't you? But they can look at our Facebook page at 5:30, and then they'll be able to see if it comes up. So anyway, so that's going to be going on next week, and that will be a lot of fun, and I'll probably be a little just wilder than usual because I'm gonna have had 2 days of actually doing artwork. So anyway, so that is what we'll be doing then. So we're going to use this cool Turner set that we've got here today. A lot of artists ask questions all the time about acrylic gouache. We have done, well, and I guess just really gouache in general, don't you think? We've gone over it in a number of different shows. JL01, first show, we actually did about the Turner gouache. We talked about what substrates it's great on. We talked about, everything. It was like Acrylic Gouache 101 plus a pouring medium demo. So, and we used the Turner for that and did a really cool pouring painting. So if you want to know, like, really acrylic gouache only, the whole thing in depth, you're going to want to go back to the thing the gals are tagging up at the top of the page on both the platforms that are going to have those links to all of our shows. They're in chronological order, and then we've got it by the subject itself. So JL01, and then JL37 is the gouache episode, watercolor and acrylic gouache. That covers both types. So let's break it down very quickly so we can get to the demo portion. Gouache is basically a matte, water-based medium that's going to give you flat color coverage but be very bright. How do they accomplish that? To make it matte, they're making it also opaque. Is somebody trying to get in the door? Jiggling the handle. It's fans. I know it. It's going to be a stampede. The gouache is opaque, and then it's also matte. Okay, so they put opacifiers in there. Typically, it's a lot of silica and then titanium dioxide, typically, to kind of get that nice flat color. And then it's really low on the resin if it's an acrylic gouache. With the watercolor, it's got less gum arabic, so it doesn't have that kind of shine and gloss and depth of color like you would get with traditional acrylic and traditional watercolor. But what it does give you, especially if you're taking photographic images of your work, which, let's face it, in today's modern design world, probably most design is done with computers or things like that. Although still with book illustration and things like that, you will get people that actually are using fine art mediums that then they're photographing and then, making into the images for that book. Gouache was your typical designer's medium. That's why it was called originally designer's gouache. So, because it's going to not refract any light, they can use flash. It's not going to be a problem. It's easy for them to get quick, really high quality photos. It's also easy for you to get really high quality detail because you can use little 2-hair brushes with the acrylic gouache and watercolor gouache. Acrylic gouache, Turner has I don't even know how many colors. The last time I remember it was like 525, but I think they've added more color since then.
Across all the lines?
Yes, across there. No, it was across there just acrylic gouache, and then they brought in like some of the more traditional colors like cobalt and ultramarine and things like that. So you're talking tons and tons of colors just available to you at the ready, straight out of the tube.
Pretty colors.
Some amazing colors. They've got lame, which is like where that actually is the one shiny one because it's got sparkly glitter in it, essentially little tiny pretty cosmetic grade kind of glitter. It does need to have that clear kind of gloss to be able to refract the light from that. There's metallics. They've got every metallic you can think of. They've got fluorescents. They've got the luminescent pigments that kind of glow. They've got the iridescence. They've got all the different, anything decorative that you can think of. It's the perfect medium for decorative painters. But it's also great, it's great for any artist. What I will caution you with, if you are a fine art painter and you're looking at incorporating acrylic gouache into your work, there are quite a bit of colors that Turner has that are fluorescent, so you're going to want to check the pigments. Because the problem with fluorescents are they're fugitive. What does that mean if you're not sure? It's not the movie. No one's jumping out of the paint tube, escaping from the cops. It means that pigment is going to very quickly fade and dissipate. That color that's that bright, just kind of screaming fluorescent, is going to be gone in a matter of time. So you're going to want to know that for mixing. I know for sure some of the violets have it in it, not all of them. Some of the reds, some of the yellows. So you just want to be really careful and check those paint tubes. So acrylic gouache, another good thing that you've got with it is it does come out matte, but you can change the sheen with any acrylic medium very easily. You can even wait until you're done with the final artwork. You can do even a gloss varnish to it and give, you know, a nice rich shine to that super, super deep color. Their jet black color is literally the blackest black. It looks like,
Velvet.
if you paint it on a solid surface, it looks like velvet. Like you want to rub your hand over it because you're sure it's going to have that kind of soft, flocky texture to it.
If I need something that's super black in all the stuff we have in the studio,
Yes.
I will go to that
Yes.
over any other paint line.
We have bags of it in the
Yeah.
bags around here. They make a bag, like I don't like where you get bagged soup. I know that sounds weird, but like some of the gourmet ones make bagged soup. It's like that size. I'd like a quart of paint, please.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
here you go in a bag. So the
Really?
detractant, the one I think downfall to the medium, although it's not that big of a deal, just follow the rules, and it's not going to be a problem, is that because there's so little resin in the acrylic gouache, to get it that beautiful opacity, that, you know, just superb matteness, it doesn't have the resin for the flexibility. Acrylics tend to be shiny. That's because they're incredibly flexible. When you reduce that resin count in, you know, the polymer that's in your acrylic gouache, suddenly it can make it very, very brittle. So that's something that you need to know. What does that mean in practical purposes? Don't put it on flexible surfaces like canvas or fabric or things like that, unless you're going to be putting in a fabric medium, which helps make it flexible, or unless you're going to be putting in some other sort of acrylic medium to give kind of the added resin for the flexibility. What is that going to do to your color, though? The beauty of this is it's opaque, right? Super rich, lots of pigment. It's going to change that opacity. It's going to, the more you add to make it more flexible, the more you're going to thin that color down so that it's not going to be truly opaque. So those are things that you want to remember. Otherwise, it goes on glass, it goes on metal, it goes on stone, it goes on plastic, it goes on pretty much almost any surface, doesn't it, Katie? So, I mean, I think we did a campaign when we first picked Turner up, and we're like, paints on anything. It literally did.
It literally did.
So,
Glasses done with it.
yes. Oh no, I did reading glasses
Yeah.
with it and made them copper, and it was fantastic. So it's great in that it gives you the ability to kind of think outside the box. I think it's one of the perfect things that we've got for mixed media. Another thing about it, you've got these concentrated tubes. Thin it down, 1 part water to 2 parts paint. So a little goes a very, very long way. Amanda, yes?
Do they list the light fast ratings on the tubes? Do you know?
Let me put on my glasses and see. I do not know, quite honestly, because this set has littler tubes than the traditional ones. That's something that, if one of you guys can look in the tech notes, maybe it's got that on the webpage, because these are the small tubes. So they will be checking on that just to see kind of, you guys have a bigger, is that a bigger tube? That's
Yeah.
fluorescent, so that's not going to show you. They'll see about getting that information for you.
The problem is half the back of the tube is in Japanese.
Is in Japanese because it's, yeah. So hold that thought. They'll check. So, and we'll see what we can do from there. Let's look at this Smart Set. And that comes with this little sleeve. When you've got the box and you pull it out, I'm going to show this, the set I've been working with. Because we'll use the brushes and stuff anyway. Lid pops off. It's actually a palette.
I love that.
I've been using this one, and it's got a little rag, but it's a great palette that you can put your paints, little spacer areas, little mixing areas. Another problem with acrylic gouache is that because of that low resin count, it really sticks where plastic, remember, you know how there's the peel off palettes, you can peel just regular acrylic right up. But they've solved that problem, and they've got a palette cleaner that comes with it, so it's really easy to get that palette right back to super clean, bright white, shiny. So palette is the lid on it. It's got a very nice size painting rag. Amazingly, that's all I've gotten on it, and it opens up even further from there. Just to kind of for me, it's to dab the excess water off. Comes with 2 whites with the set. It comes with your 12 colors, your palette cleaner, the little mixing guide that goes for all these 12 colors will make the 120 colors that are in here. On the front, it's got the color. On the back, it's got what the color number is, and then it will say, like this one, permanent lemon. It's 1 part permanent lemon to 1 part titanium white. So that's easy. Then you'll get some that are like, what was one that I made earlier that I was like, 1 part of this and 1 part 20. Burnt sienna, 1 part burnt sienna and 20 parts of white. Gets that really pretty nice color. So it's got all the formulas. You just eyeball it. Super easy to match. I was amazed by how easy it was to match the color. Made working a lot quicker because there wasn't any of that, I don't know what color this is. Oh, this is the perfect color for this. What do I do? Got the little formula right there. Brushes, it comes with 4 brushes. It comes with 2 nice long flats, and then it's got 2 kind of the more traditional rounds. They work great. Both of these are works that I did. We're going to paint with one. I just used this little size one because we're working very small. Worked perfectly with that. It also has a little ruler in the set that's clear, so I don't know if that's going to be something we can see. Little ruler with the set as well. So you've got your straight edge right there. Brushes, the whole 9 yards. This closes back up. Has little snaps, so it clips all right back together. So you can carry that really easy to classes. You can carry it with you just on a trip. It's a perfect little set. All you need with this is just a cup of water and some ideas and a painting surface, right, Katie?
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, it's a fantastic set. So what I'm going to do is switch the brushes out because I'm just going to use, well, I'll just use this one that I've got. So what we're doing today to kind of show, that this can paint on anything, is I've got some little plexiglass. If you've ever tried to paint acrylic paint on plexiglass or glass, it slips and slides all over the place, right? Super hard to get to adhere. Turner gouache is actually super easy to use. The acryl gouache, what you need to do is you paint that first layer. You don't water it down a lot, but you don't leave it super thick. It's gonna partially, it like coats it, but it's not opaque. So you just kind of ghost in where your image is, let it dry, and then go from there. Acrylic gouache dries so ridiculously fast. A, you want to mist very lightly because you don't want to put a whole bunch of extra water on. But B, you only literally want to get out what little bit you need for the area that you're working on because you don't want these large amounts of paint to dry, okay? So we're going to be doing this bug. Let me get I've wrote down what colors I have. This is a jewel beetle. I got the image off Pixabay. There were 3 of them together, but I enlarged that so it's easier for you guys to see. And we're going to be using the crystal, the Creative Mark Crystal Clear Acrylic Painting Tiles. It's a little 5-pack of just like little plexiglass tiles. Now, when they come with a protective coating, little kind of clear paper on each side. You don't really notice it at first because it's still pretty clear. You're going to want to peel off both of those sides before you use it. So what I've done is I've peeled that off. Katie, if you can pop the overhead. Taken my little image of the bug. There's actually the little image stuck on here with some clear tape. I've done half of it in what I'm going to do for this. I'm going to pull it down so you can see where this has actually been put on. Doesn't want to come off. Not having enough fingernails to do it. Okay.
You need something off?
I think I can get the other side on it. I just want people to see that, okay, that's all that's been painted on there. See the little legs? So that was just one very light coat with the black, and then I went back and put a second coat on. So for this first layer, all I'm doing is using that picture on the back, and I'm going to be putting the paint on the legs. Because what we're doing is through those 5 layers, we're trying to show the depth of the bug, okay, to make it look 3-dimensional. So I'm going to get my handy dandy palette out. Put it nice and close to the bug. Just going to put a small amount of that out. And with this, it could be up to a 1 to 2 water to paint. That works, I think, better with like an absorbent surface that kind of smooths out. I just like it where it's brushable enough, but not too wet. I'm going to put my reading glasses on because this is like the perfect depth where it's like, unless I stand on my tippy toes, I can't see the, I know, right?
You want something to hold it up higher?
Nope. Okay. Now I'm painting in past the body of the bug because you're not going to be able to see this up under the bug. I want you to be able to, just in case those tiles get moved the littlest bit, it'll still be believable. It won't be like it ends just right where the edge is, so that it gets a little bit off the pattern. Tiny bit more water. Just adding the water with my brush. I'm not using the sprayer or anything like that. It's got actually a really good tip. I just wanted to use the brush that's actually comes with the set, so you can see it does actually a pretty decent job. Okay, so that's a little lighter because I've got that thinned down. My head's not in the way, is it, Katie?
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
Bolton Bass or Base is asking, so it's fluid acrylic with an opacity and matte additive?
No, it's not fluid acrylic. It comes out like a soft-bodied acrylic.
Comes out like toothpaste.
Yeah, like a little thinner than toothpaste, I guess. And then it's got the opacity from the silicas and the, you know, kind of opacifiers in it.
Hey, Ames,
Yes,
have you used this on Yupo?
it would work fine on Yupo. We've used it on things that are like Yupo, and this is very slippery like Yupo, so
That's what I was thinking.
yeah. Now with Yupo, you're not going to be able to pick it back up like you're going to be able, I mean, I guess with acrylic, once it bonds, you're not going to be able to pick that up either, but you're going to have to, you know, it's not like watercolor where you can pull this back up. Now this is, acrylic gouache is water resistant, okay? Once you've painted it on, it is not waterproof. So you don't want to do a whole lot of scrubbing colors over, you know, wetter colors over drier stuff, because that resin isn't in the amount that you're used to with traditional acrylics. It will pull up some, and you will want to seal it with some sort of varnish if you're not going to be framing it under glass, okay? Because it will be absorbent like watercolor or something like that would be. Okay, so I've painted the legs on there. Right here, where kind of the body, you got your head, thorax, and abdomen, right? If you remember from biology class when you were a kid. I'm painting a kind of a wide swath right there under it because I want this to be the kind of the deeper, you know, portion there where it connects those carapaces together. And then I'm going to also do that up under the head. This will be covered by kind of the overlap of the other pieces. That's why we've got this image here, because I was showing somebody this and they're like, ah, I can't see it anymore. You've got this image here to go by. You just have to make sure you've got your kind of overlap going on there. Okay, are there any questions while this is drying? I'm going to give it a minute to dry before we put the next coat on.
No, but Nola said it's frosty where she is in Australia, and I'm so jealous.
It's not that hot today, though.
No, but it
it's
will
hot
be so
compared
soon.
to Pornola. Yeah, we've had almost 100-degree weather last week, and now we're in the mid-80s, and it feels like
Great.
very strange by comparison. Okay, so I'm going to pick this up and kind of weave it around just to get it to... All right, did I answer the question on the soft body and all that, or was I, because I was trying to paint and think at the same time, and I heard, like, kind of far away that realm of my voice was trailing off, so I just want to make sure I thoroughly answered it. It's almost dry.
You want a hair dryer? I don't think it's
Um,
almost overkill for that. You don't.
yeah, because it dries so quick. It's almost dry. I just don't want to like put the next thing down and it smushed any little bit. This is so pretty. I'll spread out like that. And it's very misleading because there's way more colors than that. So it's like,
I
that
couldn't
doesn't
get.
have a
There
lot
were
of
so
pinks.
many. I couldn't.
I
Get them
know.
all
No,
sorted out.
it's yeah. I agree. All right. So we got that. So then the next one, if you can see this, pull it over here so it's, sorry, that's under the screen. Okay, this is like the harder, all right, there we go. So you can see we've got the antenna, we've got the legs starting, kind of the highlights on the legs. We're not going to paint the legs black again. We're going to kind of go over it. There we go. Now you can see it.
There you go.
We're going to go over it with those highlights, okay? So I'm going to put this on here. I'm actually going to take artist tape and stick a little piece behind it in two corners to kind of hold that firm, because once we start, if it gets shifted at all, it's not going to be a pretty sight. Okay. So I'm just going to attach it from the bottom and push it hard on the edges, but not hard enough on top where it's not going to be easy to get off from the next layer. If that makes sense. Okay. Line it up. All right. Can everybody see the difference in the legs from the black to the kind of, it's probably hard with the bug underneath, isn't it?
Go for it.
What?
There you go.
Okay. So see, there's just the black legs that we just did. Now here is the highlights painted over it on the next coat. So that's what we're going to be doing next, all right?
He's a pretty little bud.
Mm-hmm. Jewel
Have
beetles
you
are
done
pretty.
any experimentation with how many layers you can put without it cracking?
It's not that, okay, so that's a good question. She asked how many layers you can do without it cracking. You want to paint your layers very thinly so they adhere. You don't want to take it out of the tube and do impasto with this unless you're going to add impasto medium with it, because the impasto medium will give it that resin to hold it together, but you're going to, it's kind of a, it's a catch-22. It's going to make it more flexible, but you've taken the real qualities of gouache and you basically just stomped on them. So
Yeah.
it's better to remit gouache to this type of application, you know, where it's those thin coats, and just use regular acrylics. Because number one, you would have to add enough of that to keep the color pretty good. You're going to waste a lot of color.
Yeah.
Plus then you've got where things are drying at two different rates. If you're adding something like a gels and stuff, dry so much slower, right? So it's just, it starts getting to where it's not, in my opinion, it's really not worth the, all right,
That
so,
being said, though, I've done it on. I was painting the top of a box, a decorative box,
yes,
and painting over some black printing that was over there
yeah,
with white,
yeah,
and put quite a few thin layers on there. And as long as you varnish it after I was done with it, I haven't had it. As long
right.
as it's not on a flexible
Well, but that's,
surface, I
no,
haven't
but
had
that's,
any
but that's
problems.
still thin layers. You
Right.
weren't painting like thick, like you're trying to leave brush marks. Yeah. It's, and plus you don't, you know, that's the hallmark of it. You can't see the brush strokes
Right.
because it all lays nice and flat.
If
So
you're trying to cover something that's underneath it, it's quite possible to build up quite a few layers.
it
of
is just
in the
you do
correct
do
way.
it as, instead of as one coat or two coats, do
Right.
it as multiple layers to cover and keep it nice and smooth.
Does acrylic gouache work with masking fluid?
It's acrylic, so it's not, it's no, because masking fluid is like watercolor where you put it down and then you have to peel it back up, right? So acrylic is going to probably skin over it and not, it's, there's, okay, so it's a good question, but there's no reason for masking fluid because you can go paint your whites back in,
Sure.
Also true.
you know?
I don't know if
So-
it would leave a clean enough. Like I think it would work in theory, but the line
Yes.
wouldn't be as clear and clean
It's,
as you want
okay,
it to.
so that's gonna work with watercolor gouache
Right.
because that's gonna not be your issue. It's not the medium for because again, this will paint on anything. So if this paints on glass and will stick, it's gonna stick to your masking fluid. All right, so this is the color that I used. It's number 30. It's permanent lemon, 1 part to 20 parts white. So this is what we're going for to get kind of these little yellow highlights in here. So the best way to do this, I found, when you're talking 20 parts to kind of bloop just a little bit of this out. Leave the white over here because I'm going to need it, and I'm going to miss this slightly. Is I took the brush. It's a clean brush. Don't do this when you're mixing and you've got stuff on your brush. I just took a little bit and pulled it out, okay? Because rather than put a bunch out and try to mix it and have an issue with it, can you see the palette right there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So see, that yellow's got some power to it. You can see it starting to come up, right?
How many layers of acrylic can you do before the bottom layers start to get cloudy, I guess?
With regular acrylic or acrylic gouache?
With acrylic gouache. Like when you stack the acrylic layers together.
Oh, the acrylic panels.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was not. I have no clue. This is 5. We'll show the final result with 5, but I have no clue. Okay, so see how this is. See, look at the color. Can you see you can't see the color on the brush because it matches so well?
That's crazy.
Yeah, just that little bit of. Okay, so I'm going to hold this up so it's a little easier to see, and hopefully you'll be able to see it a little easier. Okay, so I'm just going to tip some little areas that I want that little yellow highlight to be. With this point, I'm not really looking at the bug because I can't see it with it blocking the, I'm just matching the other side up. So forgive the, if it doesn't really look like, and it's harder to see because I can't see the bug straight on like you guys can. But I think that's, okay, see the little highlights there?
So cute.
Okay. So there's our first highlight, and that made like a way lot more. You get much better at putting very little paint out. What I need to do real quick is go in here and see how we've got this side of his head and that antenna there before I need those colors to put on there. I'll take some of that black that I've still got. I'm painting kind of the under part of his head is very dark, so let's get that some excess water out of there. Okay, so we're gonna let this dry for a minute. And then we'll come back over it with a little darker. It's got a shorter antenna, or maybe it sticks up some. Let's do the light blue here. The light blue is number 70 that I put down. So let's look here and find 70. It is cobalt blue, 1 part cobalt blue to 4 parts white. So I'm just going to put a tiny, tiny amount of white out because I'm just making a little portion. Cobalt blue, again, I'm going to take my brush and touch it. And you want to do a little less of the color than the white because than you think you need, because chances are you might not need as much as you think. Okay, so let's see how well that does. Again, can you even really see the brush that well? A little bit, maybe?
You squint, it disappears.
Yep. So that's what we're going to use for this kind of bluer area while we wait for that antenna to dry. Oops, cap's the wrong way. All right. If people have questions, just go ahead and fire
Does that dry a little bit darker, Amy?
the gouache.
I feel like the gouache.
There's a little bit of
color shift.
a slight amount of color shift.
Just a very tiny bit.
I think in some ways, depending on the color, sometimes it dries a little lighter, but then other parts don't.
Do we sell those brushes outside of the kit?
No, I don't. I don't believe we do. And they're a nice synthetic Taklon, so they're super, like, easy to clean the gouache out of. That's the other thing. You do not want to use a natural hair brush with acrylic gouache. You will never get it out, and you will, after a couple times of using it, you will,
It'd be crunchy.
yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, it'll be so ruined. And if you know you're a person that has poor brush hygiene, let's say, which sounds like such a horrible, but it's true. There's people with an affliction of poor brush hygiene. Acrylic gouache, A, may not be the medium for you, or B, may be the medium that makes you fastidious about keeping your brushes clean after you kill a few.
Does acrylic gouache dry faster than regular acrylic paint?
Yes. Yeah, that was one of the, when we were talking about the hallmarks, and they may have just joined us, that's what we said, is that acrylic gouache dries ridiculously fast.
And does spraying it help, or you just need to not put out too much?
Misting it slightly just kind of keeps that, the top might start to like skin up. It kind of just keeps it so that it doesn't like quickly dry very fast through it.
It's rewettable though, isn't it? Or no?
No, it's not. Mm-mm.
Just the regular gouache is rewettable.
Yes. Yes, the watercolor gouache,
Yeah, that's one.
which is usually called design gouache, is rewettable. This is not. Okay. So we got the antenna done there. So let's take, see, a little of that. Well, we'll wait at the blue. Let's do the orange. The orange is 18. I guess it'd be easier if I did this. I just know which one it is if I see it. Okay. All right. So this is permanent red and permanent lemon. 1 part red to 1 part lemon for this. So red, permanent red, and a lemon. And I'm just going to take a little bit with the brush because I just need a tiny touch. Again, cleaning out that lemon from my brush before I stick it in the red. And blotting off the excess water because that'll make a big giant mess. And that's a little more red, I think. Okay. Okay, so again, color. See, I can barely see it there.
Yeah.
It dries flatter, so you've got a little, the water makes it a little glossier. The little bit of wetness makes it glossier, so it's gonna kind of take some of the heat out of it. All right, so we're gonna put in a couple touches of this orange. Pick it up. See, it's already starting to want to dry on me because I made such a small little amount of it. So we want to work real quick and stick some bits in there. But not make it too wet. Okay. All right. Put a little dash of the blue on that antenna. All right. So let's give this a minute to dry here. Get out our next. Okay, the next one we're going to be doing kind of the underside of the carapace here, which is all those kind of the head, thorax, and abdomen, kind of that hard shell is what we're going to be working on. This is almost dry. So weird. That's the beautiful thing about this is, and why it works for designers, is because time is money, right? If you're doing illustration, you're you know, maybe being paid by the project or maybe being paid by the hour, and you've got a lot of jobs to keep up with. This dries so quickly, you can really work super fast with it. Okay, so I'm taking my tape back on the sides to stack this next one. Now, clearly you would want to go back after this, and we were joking earlier about my fingerprints are all over this stuff. You'd want to wipe that off. Okay, so see how we've got this layer we're going to put down on the bug next. Okay, we line these back up so we've got the corners all matching.
Do you need to put the varnished finished pieces under glass?
If you're not, you don't have to varnish it if you're going to put it under glass.
Okay.
If you want that kind of richness and matteness to stay, that, you know, you don't have to do that at all. So, but if you're putting it where you're leaving it open to the air, because this is so absorbent, because of all those kind of the things that help make it opaque, also would be incredibly absorbent to, you know, things in the atmosphere, things in your house, smoke, dust, dirt. You want that to be sealed with something. So, and the thing is, a matte varnish doesn't always stay nice and kind of that crisp, that nice clarity and smoothness, because the things that make it matte are clear silicas, but if you spray too much varnish on it, it can look cloudy. So, you know, it may be wiser just to put it under glass than it is to necessarily, if you like the matte nature of it, then, you know, varnish it.
With what you're doing, could you just take another piece of clear acrylic and
Yep.
put a top layer?
Definitely. That's what I would totally do. Okay, so we've got this. We're going to now just paint the black first where this bug is, okay? Nice thin layer so it dries quick.
Can you move forward just a little bit, Amy? There you go.
Just trying to see
I know,
around.
sorry.
No, because it's hard for me to, because I'm not like right above the
I'm
bug. No,
Getting
that's,
close enough so that they can
yeah,
see the
no, I
details,
agree.
but I know that makes it a little further up for you.
I'm gonna, if I tilt it like this, can they still see pretty
Yeah.
well? Okay. And then I'll pull it back down. I just don't want to miss. And remember, the first layer is kind of like not completely opaque because this is a super slippery surface. So you're wanting to just get some of this to bond really nicely with it, and then you can come back with your next layer.
GLP Villainous would like to know, is acrylic gouache only for these types of substrates, or are paper and canvas also
Okay,
appropriate?
so they may have missed when we were talking earlier. You can paint on anything with acrylic gouache, okay? However, you do not want to put it on flexible surfaces because it will crack. It does not have enough resin in it to make it flexible. So if you really like canvas and you're wanting to paint with it, do a canvas panel, okay? Because it's got that stiffness behind it, but it still has kind of the beauty and the texture of what the traditional canvas kind of gives you, but without making it potentially so that your work can crack, all right? If you're working on wood panels or anything like that, make sure you seal that wood panel with a couple layers of either like a GAC 100 or something like that, so that the wood doesn't expand and contract, because if you don't seal that first, so it keeps kind of that moisture out for the expansion and contraction, it will do that and it will make your gouache crack. Don't ask me how I know that.
Do you think that this paint is, your own personal opinion, of course, better suited to smaller works because of the dry time, or do you think you could make it work for, like, you could probably make it work for large works?
You can make it.
I did a pumpkin with it at Halloween.
You can make it work with anything. What you're gonna have to do is be smart and paint sections at a time, because
Yeah.
you don't want to A, put out too much paint and then not get to it, and B, you know, it just dries so fast. You don't want to waste your paint, you know. Okay, I can't see the eye well enough. That's fine. We're just gonna soldier on. All right. I'm painting up to the eye and I'm going around the eye, folks. This is obviously not gonna be as clean or precise as it was when I'm looking down on it to do the first coat. I'm going back as I paint the color and smoothing the brush strokes just to make it as flat as possible so that it will dry really quickly. The ridgier you make it, a little bit slower it's going to dry, which isn't any big deal because it's still incredibly quick drying. It's just more for this demo ease of, okay. Okay, so we've got our black kind of across the board there. Then what I did is, you can see a little bit of some violet edging the bug. Can they see that?
Can you pull the paper back on the bottom just a little bit so they can see truly how
Yes, I'll see if I can.
big it is? Just on one side, like so you can give a little peek.
Yeah.
It's so impressive.
Sorry, this
how-
is so, it's actually
Just like
pretty
on the button, there you go.
Okay, see
Okay.
how it's starting to look three-dimensional?
So cool.
Okay. All right. Make sure I get the squash out of this real good. All right. All right, so the violet I use, let's see. All right. My note to myself is I just used violet and black with this, and then I did a green 44 around the eye. I think what we're going to do is not so much worry about the eye. We'll show the other finished bug. Let's just try to get to the other layers and we can see that side because I don't want to miss out on not being able to really show this. Okay. Okay, so I've made this kind of a, blacked out this violet just a little bit, kind of knocked it down with the black. Take some of this over. I think I used a little bit of that because that looks lighter. Yep. Then I stop and write down some of the color changes I was doing.
I do have to say, I always forget how much fun it actually is to paint with those.
With what? The
With the acrylic
gouache or
gouache?
these little tiles? The little
Both
tiles
of
are kind of
them.
fun too.
Yeah, they are fun. But both of them, it's a very
Yeah.
easy, I don't want to say easy, but it's a,
No, it seems like you're like, this is really all this takes.
Yeah.
It seems,
it seems like it's so much harder and complicated until you start painting with it, and then you're just like, oh, this is fun.
yeah, I agree. Take a little bit of this here. Okay, we're not going to worry about the green right now because we want to get to, and I want to make sure we get to the next layers. All right, so let this dry for a minute. Now the next tile that we're doing, we're going to start adding some color. So, which it looks really funny when it's just that because you don't see the legs or any of that, right?
Look at pepper.
It does. It'll go on in a minute. We'll be able to see it. Any questions while we're doing a dry? It's like, wow! Probably freaking the camera out with the,
A little bit.
oh, it's almost done. Come on.
I'm trying to stay zoomed in enough that they can see the little bug.
Yeah, I'll move the palette up so it's a little easier to see what I'm doing with that. Okay, so let me peel this back. Okay, this is our fourth tile, okay? All right, let's line them up. Actually, for the workshop next week, we're going to be using the Turner gouache, acrylic gouache for our stuff. All right, see how the next coat we've got going on here? You can see where it's under the, if I do this, you can see the shine. Those are layers that are under it. This is the only part that doesn't have that shine. That's our gouache layer, okay? So we're going to put this down and we're gonna start painting the green on this other side here. So the green, let's see, the green is number 60. So let's put that on first. And this is hard to see because it's printed so soft, but it's actually pretty easy. It's like almost like a non-photo blue that they print it on the back. Okay, so we're doing this first. You can't really see it, it's around the edge there, so let's see what color we need. 1 part permanent red, 4 parts permanent green, middle. This I'm just gonna kind of tap it. Okay.
Those tubes look like they don't hold that much paint.
When
you realize how little paint you need to use for everything,
yeah, it's packed full of pigment.
they last forever.
Okay, so see? Again, you really can't see that, right? Matches that nicely. All right. So now the mid part of the line we want to leave because this is that kind of midline down his back, right? Can you see this pretty easily since it's kind of going over that black? Is that a little easier to see over the black? Oh, it's really, okay, so this is, it's a very similar value. You'll be able to see in a minute. Put this on up here. This I'm going to push it right up to the edge. So I've left that little space between. Let's see if you can see it with the camera if I move this up. There you go. See if you can see that I've left that line so it shows through with the black in the middle, and then there's a little bit of a line there. And we're going to go over this with this little bit lighter green. Now I see a little bit over here that I... Real quick, I've got a little bit of black that's still there. I'm going to put this eye on here. I'll change it up with some brown. All right, so the other green is 23. So let's see what we need for the 23. That apparently is, I must have, let's see if it was, oh, that's orange, I'm sorry. Brown, blue, black, green, 60. All right, wonder what green this is, 54, let's try. 54. Yeah, there we go, that matches up. All right, so that's permanent yellow deep and sky blue for that color. So we want the really deep colors, which you wouldn't think these two would make that, but Okay, so 1 and 1 is what we need for this. And I'm going to make quite a bit more of this since we're going to be using it. And I'll also leave a little bit of that because I think I used it for just kind of lightening some colors. have this in the... Again, blends right in. All right. Okay, this will be easier to see. Put this on. Oops, that was like a really thick glob of it.
Is it possible for you to pull the big beetle down a little bit?
The big picture?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks.
There we go. Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can slide him over. I just want to move. There we go. All right. Okay. So there we've got that green. We're gonna take a little bit of that. Let's see if we can't kind of scrape off the excess and get just a little on the tip. Kind of come around his eye there. Okay. Now, some of this in here is mixed with that kind of a little bit of that brighter green, or brighter yellow, excuse me. Get the excess out of the brush, I feel it's starting to pick up. Uh-oh. Did I say something funny, Frida?
No.
I'm afraid. Don't know if I want to know. All right. So I'm using just that. I'm lightening that with that yellow. I'm going to put this in here for the... That'll probably help if I let it dry for a minute first. Gonna edge this a little bit. Can you guys see the color all right? Do I need to hold it up?
If I zoom anymore, you're going to be painting at the end of your arm.
No, that's fine. Until it dries, it's kind of shiny, so it's a little harder to see, you know? So I can't tell what exactly they can see easily. Okay, let's let that dry for a minute.
They can actually probably see more than you.
Okay, yeah, probably so. Oh, and I did make a brown for the eye, so let's do that. 93 brown. Okay, so this is Permanent Scarlet and Cobalt Blue. Not what you would think would make a brown. Permanent Scarlet, Cobalt Blue. Right out here. Is it 1:1? Yes, 1:1. Just putting a tiny bit because this is going to be just such a little area for his little eye. And the nice thing about this is they mill the pigment so fine. All it took is a couple brush strokes to sweep the color together, and it's mixed. And see, brown. I love doing that. It's just like, look, it disappears.
It's so satisfying.
It's magical. But you can see I'm not fighting to mix the color. It's not, oh my God, what do I do? Okay. So there's a little brown part in his eye. Okay. Gonna take a little bit of this straight. This is dry enough. Just still a little wet on that one side. Ah. I want to pick it up, but I don't want to. Okay. let's let that dry for just a minute. We'll look at this is the last little bit we've got, is all. If you can see there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, and all my horrible dusty fingerprints.
Wait, put your hand back under it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Just trying to focus
All right.
on your hand because it
Oh.
can't get the.
Yeah. Oh,
Clear,
and
and
I'm
you
moving it
started-
to get the dust off. Sorry about that, guys. Any questions while we're getting this last layer to dry real quick?
We're just watching.
Everybody's falling asleep.
Nobody's
no,
falling
no.
The
asleep.
color cards are. This is just, you know, and I'm gonna be honest. How many times have I used the acrylic gouache? First time I've ever used the color cards. And I was like, wow, that's so much easier. Look
So
at
much
that.
easier.
And you can buy these now separate. You used to only be able to get them in the
cool,
smart
yeah.
set, so you had to buy the smart
Yeah.
set to get it. Now they're like, I think $2.29. Let me see. I put the
Nice.
price on there. Hold on.
Did you ever
me
find
fact
out the
check.
name of that bug?
It is a jewel beetle, not a click bug. I thought it was. It's shaped like a click bug, but it's not. It is $2.29 is the guide. $2.25 is the guide. So for $2.25. Now you would need to buy the tube separately, but you know what? If you've used gouache and you really like it, you can buy the bigger tubes of these colors, and you will have gouache for ages. With this little, the card mixers and the colors, and it's only 12 colors to buy. So, and I mean, let's face it, the Turner Acryl Gouache is priced incredibly well to start
For how
with.
much pigment you get?
Yes,
It's crazy.
and the regular size tubes are what, double the, what is it, a 20 milliliter tube is the normal size that's not in a set? That sounds right. You have to.
Yeah.
Look at me, I remembered something.
And bigger tubes too, though, don't they?
Yes, and not in all the colors.
I know earlier you talked about taking gouache off of brushes, but can you talk about cleaning them one more time?
As you're painting, blot excess off and immediately be cleaning them in the bottom of your container, because it dries as dry as it's gotten on this palette super fast. I mean, that dark green we did in the last section's already dry. Some of this stuff that we're using now, the brown's almost completely dry. You need to be cleaning your brush a lot.
And should it need more than just water if you're doing it at the appropriate times, or?
No, when you're painting, no, but after it, definitely use a good brush soap. Something like a linseed based soap is going to be good about getting kind of up and under that. But again, you want to make sure you're using synthetic brushes, because the shaft of the kind of hair pieces, so to speak, which it's filament, but the difference is between natural and that natural is pitted and actually has like pores in the hair itself, where the synthetic is not going to do that, so this can't stick all up in there as easily, so it's much easier to get out because it's a smooth surface.
This is
Yes.
a good question. Mary wants to know, can all Turner paints use the same mixing cards? Or is it just recommended for the gouache?
It's, I don't know. That's a great question.
We should test it.
The pigments should be the same, I would think. Now, maybe they don't have the same color names, because
Yeah.
the watercolor gouache,
But the watercolor being transparent, the ratios may need to be a little.
yeah.
And the guide does specify acryl gouache on the
Yeah,
front
that's
of it.
true. Well, plus it's got the opacifiers in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's something you need to be aware of if you do watercolor and then you switch to something like a gouache. Colors don't get those super dark, rich tones. Your ultramarine blue is going to be much lighter than, like, ultramarine blue. If you put it on really thick in watercolor, you can almost make it look black, right? It's super dark, super kind of violet-y. With this, ultramarine blue is going to be much, much lighter, because those opacifiers make the color lighter, because there's that little bit of white in it, guys.
And could you use an extender to extend the open time on this, or not?
Anything you add is going to thin your opacity, right? So you might be able to do that, but it's going to start taking away those qualities that you want to use the gouache for. So it might be better if you're just wanting to keep it open for longer periods of time. Gouache might not be the medium for you. Just you'd have to use enough to really, I mean, and then how do you know how long it's going to dry? Yes.
How many layers have you done so far?
That was four. We're putting the last one on.
I was trying to tell, but the thing is,
I think it's
they're
dry
clear.
enough. Yeah. Yeah. 27.
39. It's been a real long time.
Okay, so there we go. We've got, now we can see what that next little bit's going to be, right? Okay, so we're just going to kind of fill in around our little bug guy here. I might have squashed the layer under it. I don't know.
Womp womp.
I know. Go figure. All right, I need some white. Now with these, I'm just using the same colors that I had, and I'm adding a little bit of white to lighten some. Okay. Just in a few areas with this kind of greeny yellow that I've got going on here. Now again, this is the first layer of this I'm doing on this section, right? On this side anyway. So I've got to put kind of a thin layer on to get it to stick to that kind of slick plexi. So this is not going to be indicative of how this will end up looking. Let's take a look at this. Kind of just do some kind of little, I don't even know what you call them, just little dabs of color to kind of give it the texture that the bug has a little bit. It's not the exact same thing. I'm not worried about it because this is a demo. Obviously I would be doing this very differently if this is going to be like a finished artwork. The dabs give the illusion of it kind of lets your mind formulate the texture on its own, right? Suggestive of it. Go up here and kind of lighten this area up. Now, we talked about all the offerings they have in their colors. If I was really going to do this bug for me and try to make it a knockout, I would totally be getting the pearlescent, the pearl colors. They add this kind of glowy, shiny, you know, that beautiful iridescence to the bug. Also, some of the other colors you could mix in just that little bit, and it would give you kind of that brightness that the bugs really need. But this was the smart set, so we were just wanting to show what you could, for just the starter price, what you could get into, right? Is there something over there that's, oh yeah. Okay, so that's what you could do with some of those colors. Those are just the iridescence. This is what the lame looks like. That really shiny, sparkly, pretty.
Yeah.
Over the black. These are all over black. Okay, and then these are some of the ones that have the iridescence in it, so it's going to have refract that color, but we don't have the pearl. The pearl looks like metal. The pearl is like super fancy. I think if you go to just the Turner page, we do have a bug that was, I think I did a ladybug on just a canvas panel that's done with the only those pearl colors. It's very bright and happy.
I think we went over all of them in one of the
On that first episode,
yeah,
the JL 101. Okay. All right. So we got our little bug guy. You dot around his eye there to kind of drop that back. Okay. All right. Can you guys see the bug? There we go, right there. Oh.
Hold them still.
Yeah, I'm trying to, back this way. There we go.
There you go.
Let me take off the under paper for him. Now the one side that we did the leg on, I went really fast and I couldn't see because the angle I was working at, it's lighter than it should be. So just warning you.
Is there any reason you couldn't use a shimmery acrylic paint on this, or would you want to just use it over the top of the acryl gouache?
You could use a shimmery acrylic paint. The acrylic can be used with it. It's just, the problem is that it may, because it dries slower, may pick up some of the color, because remember, these aren't waterproof, they're water resistant. So sometimes they don't play the easiest together. And this already is formulated to work with it, so, and it's a little drier, if that makes any sense.
Do you think you'd be better off painting acrylic first and then going over top of it with the turner?
I think it would work either way. You would just not want to do washes of
Just be aware of
traditional acrylic, yes. Because they take longer to dry, so it's going to help lift that. All right, can everybody see the bug? Here, see if this helps. There. Does that help? Mm-hmm. All right. So it gives it kind of that nice 3D look. Now, so that's our little jewel beetle. Now I did a blue longhorn beetle. You can tell I like bugs, right? Or all sorts of little critters. Okay, so there's our longhorn beetle. Can you see the legs? There we go. All right. And I wanted to use this one because you could see his kind of crazy antenna. It gave it yet another layer to kind of try to get up and under. Now, the cool thing about this is, if you were really careful how you frame it, we've got a Gotham Extra Deep frame. That's 5 inches, because this is pretty thick once it's all said and done. You can see that's, sorry, that's not in the camera. That's pretty thick. So not all frames are going to work with this. So what you could do, stack this, very carefully. You would want to somehow seal the ends. I'm going to seal it just kind of quick with a little bit of tape so I don't lose anything. But you could do it with, you could probably just do it with a little bit of glue on the edges if you're really careful about it. Once you get these all washed and taken care of, all right, so let's drop this in here. Now, you could point the edges in and out of the way and just tag those corners and do it on each side, just tagging the corners, so you wouldn't be able to see with the point driver because those things are pretty narrow and little. And you could make it so that it would hang in there just like that. Let's move the stuff out from underneath it so you can just see the... Isn't that cool? So it gives kind of a cool 3D effect to it. And if you were careful how you wired it and stuff, you could even wire it from the top and hang it in a window. Mm. You know? Mm. Just to have that kind of clearness.
Pretty decorative paper, or
yeah,
a wallpaper or something.
Or even a decorative paper with a light behind it. Yeah, cool light. Yeah. Yep. So it's just kind of a neat. It's not. This was more of kind of like proving that Turner can paint on anything, because plexi is really hard to get paint to stick to.
Really hard.
But it's something that this, you know, to do these, we just did a half of a bug in this short amount of time, right? That dried that quickly. When could you do that? We'd still be on the second panel, maybe with acrylic at best. Traditional acrylic, right? So it's a really cool little set. It's a great way when we've talked in with our color and composition class, when we've talked about you know, cool yellows, warm yellows, you know, the same with reds, the same with blues. When we're talking about how to mix, this is kind of all that put into practicality, but with a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Right? And to me, in knowing that and then using this, it made so much more sense, and I really do think that that somebody who's still kind of trying to grasp really true high quality color mixing skills, this is going to make you do this enough to find the colors where it's going to start making sense. I used a cooler yellow in this lemon. You see when those two colors go together, it like starts putting together the kind of factor, okay? So it's a really just neat little set. This would be great for even kids, because as older kids, like middle and high school, where they can portion out the paint a little less, just to teach them color mixing, to be able to paint on anything. This would be great for people that do like toll painting or wood types of crafts. It just will stick to anything. So it's a nice little set, and it's a really great quality product from Turner Colorworks. Do we have any questions?
I think we've gotten most of them as you've gone.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope this shows, you know, A, that it dries quickly, B, it's incredibly matte. I mean, with this bug on top, you can really see that how matte that top level is. If I take that glass, you can see that not all the black has been painted through, because it came through from the other layer on the abdomen there. Mm-hmm. You can really see that matteness on it. So, all right, well, if we don't have any other questions, next week when we do the show, again, you're going to need to tune in on Facebook if you're going to watch it live, because we're going to be broadcasting out remotely on location, and we may not have enough Wi-Fi to have bandwidth to be able to stream to both platforms. And if we walk out of the building, we won't have that at all. So we are going to film with a cell phone when we do it, kind of down and dirty.
It's 4K.
It is 4K, but it may be on the cellular service if we walk off from where there's Wi-Fi, so we can only do that one platform for it. So again, they will try to upload it the next day, hopefully by 5:30 the next day, that Wednesday, so that you can see it on YouTube if you just don't want to have to deal with it on Facebook. We understand, but it takes a while to upload. It's not like minutes, it's hours.
They should be able to go to Facebook if they don't want to have to log in. You
Okay.
should still be able to go to our Facebook page.
Okay.
And then click on the videos tab and watch
Right.
the videos, because they're all public
Okay.
without logging in.
All
I
right.
can't tell you Facebook's not going to try to prompt you to log in 87 times.
It will prompt you,
but
but just you can
ignore
hit
it.
no thanks or
Yeah.
where it
If
says.
push
So
comes to shove,
yes.
you do not have to be logged in to watch it.
No, you don't have to be. So you can see it if you don't have a Facebook account. So just keep that in mind. Again, we're going to be filming on location out at the coast at Columbia, South Carolina, at this really awesome little art fine craft center called Pocosin. Just beautiful facilities. I'm doing a workshop out there all next week. Have a very small class, so it's really cool. There's still seats open, so if you want to be there and actually be there while we're broadcasting, plus if you're there with a really small class, you're going to get pestered to death. I've got some really crazy teaching methods, and I do all sorts of really wacky stuff to get people to get stuff, and we're going to just like do even stuff at night. We're probably going to sketch. We may go out and go to the beach one evening, so it's going to be a really fun thing. But we'll talk about art vacations and workshops, because we do have Art of the Carolinas coming up in November, right guys? So that's a really good time to put some money aside if a workshop or kind of an art vacation with other artists, or just even to come by yourself. Do people not make like awesome friends at that, where they will stay in contact for forever?
I've seen people that come every year.
Yeah.
They come back every year.
It's wild and crazy. So it's about how you can take kind of your own training to a different level, but go on vacation with it and enjoy yourself. So, so that will be next week for JL 108. So thanks guys for tuning in, and we will see you on location next week.